You little. What's that? We have guests? Oh, hi. I didn't see you there. I was just making my smee. It's been about 2 months since my first commit to Sylphstream, and about 1 month since I began development in earnest. In that time, I've managed 148 commits, 7 bugs that I've actually remembered to use GitHub to track, 2 merges, the project's first instance of collaborative code, and enough progress that I'm now ready to implement my neural networks. Since Sylphstream has progressed considerably from the skeletal demo it was in May, I felt it would be worth reviewing my progress. As a recap, Sylphstream is a single-player, first-person shooter that I'm developing in Godot. My goal is to recreate the high-intensity experience of PvP by training neural networks to act as opponents. Also, for the record, the animation quality is going to dip considerably for the rest of the video since the last 66 seconds of footage took around 4 hours to put together.
Okay, maybe not that low quality.
Much better. Let's begin with the player's kinematic controller. The word I've used in the past to describe Sylphstream's player controller is source-like. What I mean by this is that I've heavily referenced a few one-to-one ports of the actual code that Valve's source engine uses. This has a few artifacts, like speed depending on how long the movement keys have been pressed, this weirdness used to split off vectors for player movement, and whatever unholy behavior hierarchy is actually happening here. This was, of course, my code,
Asterisk.
and I had no plans of leaving it at that. I changed a lot of the variables to have standard values, revamped friction since I just didn't like how it was written, and put some non-vanilla features in there, like crouch sliding and view tilt. Other than getting rid of unpleasant, if not true to source code, documenting everything, and spending way too long fine-tuning things, the player controller doesn't really have all that much else to talk about. There are a few lines that seem to mention some Invin Manager class, but it probably isn't a very big deal that I'll spend much of the devlog talking about. Uh-oh. Okay, I might have lied. The Invin Manager class is an absolutely important part of Sylphstream. To explore why, let's dive into the hierarchy of the player's scene tree. There's all the standard stuff, a cam cage and camera parented to the player, though rather than any direct weapons, there's an object of type player Invin Manager parented to the camera. This in turn owns a weapon holder node. If we dive into that scene tree, we'll see that it appears completely empty, but contains a mesh reference, timer, raycast, and some sound players. In order to actually fire a shot, the player script has to communicate with the Invin Manager script, which has to communicate with the weapon holder script, which has to first load, instantiate, and determine what kind of behavior is desired before the raycast actually takes place. While this design philosophy is extremely modular, it's also extremely modular. The Invin Manager script completely insulates the weapon holder, which completely insulates the actual weapon, allowing me to have literally anything interface with the firearms using completely boilerplate code. This is especially important to my design goal of emulating PvP, as it means that networks and players must contend with the exact same mechanics. Other than the two core systems, much of my development effort has been focused towards improving the feel of the game, enhancing the mechanical depth, and adding a greater richness and variety of implemented weapons. This has largely been a solo effort, but the project is nonetheless open source. If you're interested and want to pitch in, or if you just like to tinker around with my source code, feel free to reach out and get in touch. Feel free to reach out and get in touch with me using any of these means.